Hello there, my internet friends. Today, I want to talk about my own personal training arc. My own personal training arc of fatherhood. As an expecting dad to be, I'm looking for inspiration in all places of what makes good dads, what makes good fathers, dads of the entire genre, and I couldn't think of a better place to start looking than anime. Today, we are ranking the best dads in anime. Who are the worst ones? Who are the best ones? We got a lot of opinions. Speaking of children, my own daughter has invaded the set. And before we begin, I want to break down each category. First, reporting to child services, where the worst fathers go. Above that, a sperm donor. You know, technically a dad, but, you know. And then we got going to the store for some milk, you know, for the dads who maybe tried at some point, but they gave up. And then we have fatherhood material, you know, for the dads who have a couple good qualities. You know, they're not the best dads, but they got a little something. And then we got this category, what a dad. It speaks for itself. That's a good pops right there. All right, we can start our silly little tier list now. Off the bat, Goku. Maybe the most controversial dad in anime. And just to clarify, the meme that Goku is a bad dad, it's so overplayed at this point, and I think it's as funny as the next guy. And the meme is funny, but the meme also is making people in the discourse believe that Goku is a bad dad. Goku is not a bad dad. Goku's not like a good dad either, but just for clarification, he was almost tricked into marrying Chi-Chi, maybe even tricked into having children, so now we're victim blaming Goku here. But Goku did spend many years with Gohan, some of that like in the hyperbolic time chamber, very intimate moments, a moment that would have broken a lot of families being forced to stay in the same room together. And obviously after that, Goku had the whole sensu bean with Cell incident. Like I said, Goku's not a good dad, and I do think training and becoming stronger is more important to him than being a father. But I think that comes more from ignorance and him being malicious. He has nothing against being a good dad. I think he likes being a dad. I just don't think that's his highest priority in life. So we're gonna put him kind of in the middle. He's fatherhood material, but he's not a good dad or anything. And after that, another controversial dad, we got Vegeta. So Vegeta's also a murderer. I think that has to account for something, but he, like Goku, did die for his children. Goku's a little bit more successful in his endeavor, but Vegeta obviously cares for Trunks. And sure, in the Android Saga, Vegeta just flat out does not give a shit about Trunks, insults him, but he comes around in the end, and when Trunks dies in front of him, that triggers something in him that shows that he cares. And then after that in the Buu Saga, he's with Trunks more than Goku ever was, so he makes a comeback. But whereas Goku is being a good dad when he gets around to it, Vegeta outright is choosing to be a bad. He can't even stay at an amusement park for more than X amount of time, so Vegeta's gonna be going to the store for some milk. And then after that we have Gohan, which in the superhero movie, he wasn't like giving out the best dad energies. I mean, he cared for Pan when she was in trouble, but he's also not there a lot of the time. But I feel like we're not seeing his best day ever. You know, he was just working all day. He was letting Pan hang out with the grandparents, Piccolo. But I feel like 8 days out of 10, Gohan is being a very good dad. Not the best dad ever, but god damn it if he isn't trying. And then we have Piccolo, who's not technically a dad, and I tried to avoid putting too many characters on this list that weren't technically a dad. But Piccolo, we all know he's the real father of Dragon Ball Z. He is the best dad in Dragon Ball. That being said, which by the way, Piccolo starts off down here, just immediate child abuse, but then in a single year, he turns all of that around, going up the ranks, and for the rest of his life continues to be a good godfather, continues to be mentor to Gohan. I think he's a great dad. And Dragon Ball has a lot of good dads. Look at Krillin. He doesn't wear the pants in the family, but I don't think he needs to. I think for his family, he's being the best dad he can be. He has a job. But I would say he's an even better dad than Piccolo, and I would even say even better than Gohan. He's the best dad in Dragon Ball. Mr. Satan, you know, not so much. He's basically gaslighting the entire world, and including Videl. And Videl, you know, she's putting it together. Somewhere deep in her subconscious, she knows her dad is full of shit. But he is trying to improve Videl's life. He is trying to give her everything he can. But everything he does, you know, for the family is mostly for himself. And he is more full of himself than he is trying to be a good dad. So I'm gonna say he's fatherhood material. I would even say he's better than Goku. I feel like at the end of the day, Hercule, if it meant giving up the entire world, would do that for Videl. Whereas Goku, I don't think he's gonna give up training. Then we have Bardock, who, yeah, he's technically a dad. Technically, we don't see him be a dad to Raditz at all, so we assume he's not doing a great job. But in the Dragon Ball Broly version of Bardock, he does seem to care. He seems to care more than the average Saiyan. I think Bardock's character is so wonky at this point that it's even hard to put him on a tier list that such as this. But I'll say he's a safe sperm donor. And then we're going to Full Metal Alchemist, which has a lot of fun dads. Starting off with Hohenheim, which this is a very complicated one. You know, it's very debatable where the sense of self and the sense of duty and the sense of fatherhood, where it all lies. Hohenheim, he tries, he cares, he's not doing a good job. Ed hates him, and he's doing such a bad job of being a dad, he can't even explain to him as to why he's being a bad dad. But he has a pretty good reason. You know, I'll say he's going to the store for some milk. He doesn't have a lot of emotional moments with Ed or Al, but he's at least doing something. And then we have the real daddy of Full Metal Alchemist. We have Father, who I think could be the inspiration for the last tier down here. Report to Child Services. Literally, the fact that this man calls himself Father is an insult. And then we have Sho Tucker, which when I googled Full Metal Alchemist dad, he was the first image. How fucked up is that? But yeah, Sho Tucker, I would argue, is worse. He is worse than Father. Or is he? I mean, he doesn't seem like a bad dad until, you know, we get to a certain part of the story. So, you know, at least everything up. What am I arguing for right now? No, I'm leaving it. And then we have Avatar, the greatest anime of all time, if it were an anime. We got Uncle Iroh off the bat. Technically not a dad. Well, he is a dad. No, he is a dad. And we know even post that child's life that he was the best fucking dad ever just by his emotional reaction to his son's death. And Zuko is someone who needed a dad desperately, and who was there? Uncle Iroh, the best dad probably on this entire list. And then we have Aang, who I think falls again into that, where does the sense of duty and fatherhood, it's complicated. And Aang had a lot of sense of responsibility, whereas someone like Naruto wanted to be that person, like he was living out his dream. Aang, I feel like, really could have taken a step back and been a better father and he's a good dad to Tenzin, but like with his other kids, it's almost canon that he wasn't a good dad. So I'm gonna say Aang is fatherhood material. I would say he is even better than these guys, but he's not a stellar dad or anything. Then we have Tenzin. Tenzin is a great example of a person, despite his responsibilities, is still doing everything he can be to be a good dad. His wife and kids, they're coming with him no matter what. And even to Korra, he is a good dad, because he is doing everything he can to be a good dad. In not just terms of being there for his kids, but teaching them, setting them on the right path, doing all that. Tenzin, I would say, is even better than Gohan. Then we got Fire Lord Ozai. I don't think, you know, it's a real hard choice. But then again, Ozai was actually a good father to Azula, in a sense. He did not teach her good morals, but he thought he was a good dad to Azula and tried to stay on that course. If he was going to be a good dad to you, he just had a strict criteria, you know? You just have to be a tyrant, an evil tyrant. But then, you know, you pass. But I still think that's report to Child Services level. I will say he was better than these guys. And then we have Naruto. This is another mixed bag. And where I'm at in Boruto, Naruto is trying to be a good dad to Boruto and his adopted son. Again, it's where does the sense of duty lie? But with Naruto, being Hokage is his lifelong dream. The entire village, his entire family, they're all pushing him to be Hokage more than being a dad. It's just Boruto who's like, hey, I'm getting left in the dust. But even within that, Naruto does slowly become a better dad. I'm gonna say he's actually a good dad. He's below Piccolo, but obviously it starts really bad. Then we have Sasuke. You know, maybe I don't even want to put him side by side with Goku, because Sasuke does genuinely not seem to care. Even before he had the kid, his relationship with Sakura does not seem to care. Just a terrible foundation. I'm gonna say he's even worse than Vegeta. Then we have Minato, who is a better dad than Naruto. He is completely there for his son, is able to do Hokage at the same time, doesn't seem to be a problem for him, but then he dies. But even in death, he is doing everything. Even in order to seal this demon, he's like, well, let me put parts of myself and my wife into my kids so we can still teach him some stuff and have a goodbye. That's the level that this man is on. So I'm gonna say, what a great dad. Better than Naruto, better than Piccolo. But again, you know, dying is a choice he made. And if he's not higher, it's not his fault. Sometimes life doesn't let you be a good dad. Anyway, next is Kirito, which I put him on here as a joke. I was looking through all the anime I watched and I was like, what are some notable dads? And I was like, Sword Art Online, no. And then I was like, wait, Kirito is a dad. He has an adoptive daughter. And they technically, as corny as it is and as cringe it is, Kirito at the ripe old age of like 14 already has a wife and kid and accepts the role pretty willingly. And it's kind of unfair because it's pretty easy to take care of a virtual daughter, but he's doing it. And this is based from only seeing the first 2 seasons of Sword Art, but I will say Kirito is maybe the top of fatherhood material. Then we have Endeavor, who obviously starts down here. Completely manipulates his children. He literally births his children to serve the purpose of fulfilling his desire. And once he has these children, he basically turns them into war machines. But where I'm at in the manga, he turns it around. When he's given the keys to his kingdom, he instead turns around and starts finally looking at his children. But I think the damage is too far gone. Look what happened to Dabi, man. You don't come back from that. You are never going to be a good dad after that. But I will put him just below Sasuke. It's weird because Endeavor does start to care. Sasuke doesn't care. But I think if Endeavor just walked away and showed up every once in a while, that would have been a better outcome than what he actually ended up doing. And I just realized that Hughes isn't on this list. I thought he was, but he's not. I don't see him. I will fix this in post. Put him best daddy. Best daddy easily. And then we have Albarn from Soul Eater. This one's weird. I feel like it's almost like a Hughes situation. Like, he loves his daughter. He wants the best for his daughter, but his daughter rejects him. And in the anime, at least, there's not a great conclusion to that. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, I don't think the foundation is that strong there. He has to be above Kirito. I think that's fine for right now from what I remember of Soul Eater. And then we have Lord Death, the better dad in Soul Eater. You know, he gives his kid everything he wants, but keeps him on the right path, doesn't make things too easy for him. You know, as the guy who runs the place, Death the kid could walk all over everybody, but he doesn't let him. And he's just a fun guy. Like, I love Lord Death. I'm gonna say he's better than Krillin. Again, from what I remember of Soul Eater, I think he's better than Krillin. What a dad. I'm forgetting his name, but Light Yagami's dad from Death Note. His son went on to do a lot of evil things, but who stood behind him unknowingly, like, willing to die for his son, even though his son was doing everything in his power to go against his wishes. And I think he has a little bit of the stereotypical Japanese busy salary man, doesn't have time for his kids, but I think he did his damnedest. I think he tried his best given the circumstances. I'm gonna say he's even better than Lord Death and Krillin and the other guys because a lot of them had it pretty easy. This man, even in struggle, even in the face of adversity, he was a good dad. I feel like Lord Death would have been like, my son's strong, he's fine. I think Krillin would have been like, Goku, can someone else help me, you know? I don't think their parental instincts are as strong as my man right here with the mustache. This is Mikahisa Asakura from Shaman King, and he's another interesting one because he's not there a whole lot. He doesn't seem like he's father of the year to Yo, but he's never doing anything negative. He's never being caught with his pants down being the bad dad. But I feel like he should have some more scenes with Yo. I'm struggling to remember even a single time that they had an intimate conversation. I'm gonna say he's fatherhood material, better than these two. I'm gonna leave him right below Aang. Then we have this fucking guy. I don't think we need to go into detail why Rengoku's dad isn't a very good dad. After a lot of examples why he isn't a good dad, though, we do start to crack inside of him, and we see somewhere deep in there he does care about his son, but I still don't think that accounts for very much when all you did was negatively affect these two. You know, you could argue that he should be up here, he kept a roof over their heads or something, but no, I think even if those kids were on their own, they would have ended up better. I will say he's better than Ozai, though. Alright, we're about to hit a streak of bad dads down here. So, if you haven't seen Made in Abyss, all you need to know, this is the worst one. It does not get worse than this. I know what you're thinking, like, these guys were pretty bad, but no. This is not... This is as bad as it gets. Then we got Gendo from Neon Genesis Evangelion. If you've seen Neon Genesis, you know, not a very good dad. Gendo is essentially playing a big old chess match, and his son is just one of the pieces, and he is not afraid to sacrifice that piece if it means getting forward. That being said, the goal of some of these characters is to actively harm their children. I think Gendo, maybe in some timelines he's being a better dad, and in some cases he's just like, oh, well, maybe if everything weren't the way it is, you know, maybe if things were such and such, maybe I could be a good dad, but the way things are, no, not interested. So I'm gonna at least put him below Ozai, above father. Then we got the dad from Spirited Away, who I think, you know, it's probably not his best day, but I think it's more of a compilation of how not to be a good dad. Just speedrun, doesn't listen to my kids, don't care what they have to say, teaching them bad examples of how to be. And then, unlike a lot of the characters in this list, he does not grow, he does not become better. The status quo remains, seemingly. But again, I think you could argue with Goku, it comes from a place of ignorance, but he's got to be better than all these. I would say he's probably better than Bardock, even though I don't think that's a high bar. I don't want to put him too much higher, but I guess I'll put him above Endeavor. And then we have a character whose name is literally Papa. We got Entei from Pokemon the third movie, which for some reason when I was scrolling through my anime, I was, oh, what are some good dads? I just saw Pokemon 3 and I was like, Entei. I mean, he was kind of a great dad. You know, I think this is kind of the same argument as Kirito, where it's a little bit unfair. You know, sure, he's giving the world to his daughter, but that world isn't real. And he's kind of equipping her with some bad morals along the way. But you could argue it's also not his fault. But you know what? Entei cared. He did anything for his daughter, and he did his damnedest. I think that's a great dad. I'll put him up here. I'll put him below Naruto. I guess Naruto can get the W on that. Then we got Mal from Devil is a Part-Timer. And this is only from what I've seen of the second season, but he does his best to become an impromptu dad. That being said, I don't think he's well equipped to be doing that, but everything we see of him, he passes the test. He did used to be a demon, and becoming a demon lord isn't completely off the table, I don't think, at this point. But, you know, let's say he's above Entei because he's a real person. Let's say he's above Naruto because he didn't have a hot streak of being an asshole. We'll put him above Piccolo, you know, no child abuse. I don't think he's gonna do what Minato did. And this is Raisin from Yu Yu Hakusho, which is technically not a dad. He's like a great something great grandfather, and he doesn't do any good dad deeds. He takes over his son's body at will, beats up his son, then he just kind of F's off. You could argue he was some kind of mentor before kicking the bucket, but I'd rather all of these guys be my dad. I'm gonna put him right here. Actually, no, this dude literally lives in hell. I don't think there's any scenario where he's gonna be a good dad. Bardock, there might be an alternate timeline, but I'll put him right here. Technically not a dad, but Reagan from Mob Psycho 100, the best character of the show. One of the best characters in anime, but is he a good dad? I will say, you know, he's kind of in that Hercule energy of, oh, I'm comfortable manipulating my kid's emotions if it betters me. But I think Reagan's arc kind of ends better than Hercule's did. And I think he spends more time with Mob than Hercule would Videl. I feel like Hercule's not there most days, but Reagan really is a mentor and a father to Mob. And even though there was an arc based upon should he do the selfish thing and try to keep Mob to himself, instead he lets Mob go and he becomes a better person, even though that hurts Reagan. And for that, I'm gonna put him at the top of fatherhood material. Reagan's doing pretty good. And this is another weird one, man. Grisha from Attack on Titan. So obviously not like a good dad. Doesn't seem like he's doing a great job. But again, you could make an argument for victim blaming. It's not his fault at all. This man again has that sense of duty. I'm trying to do things right, make the world a better place, but I don't know what's right. But in both case scenarios, it seems like I should hurt my son. You know, I think it would just be safe to put him down here, side by side with Hohenheim. That seems like a pretty good mix. And last but not least, another one of the best daddies anime, one of the first dads you see if you Google anime dads, Lloyd Forger. Technically not a real dad though, but is about as close as you can be to one. Adoptive father of the year, and there's not a whole lot out for Spy X Family quite yet. Like, I think Lloyd will have his full circle moment where his career and his family seem to be currently side by side. I think it's only a matter of time before his family is the most important thing to him, leaves his career in the dust, which is more than just off the bat Naruto would ever do. And just looking at his competition, I think he has more good dad qualities than these other guys. So he's got a pretty solid place in the top 10 anime dads. I think he did pretty good for himself. But that is our tier list, everybody. I think we've established what it means to be a good dad. I think we've leveled up the dad energy. We've established what it means to be a good dad here today through these anime character PNGs. And what it means to be a bad dad. I hope no one has to suffer like the children of these dads down here. But that's it for today. Please subscribe if you want more stupid tier lists like this. And I do these on Twitch every so often, so if you want to follow me on Twitch as well, I'm over there. Thank you, and until next time, with that, I leave you.